welcome to the Flix Forum podcast, where each episode we usually go back and look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. However, today we have a special bonus episode where we're going to discuss Netflix's 2025 period drama called Train Dreams. This one's directed by Clint Bentley and stars Joel Edgerton, Felicity Jones, Nathaniel Arcand, Clifton Collins Jr, John Diehl, Paul Schneider, Kerry, Condon, and William H. Macy. I am your host, Jesse, and I thank you for joining me today for this special episode. As always, if this is a film that you haven't yet seen and you're interested in checking it out, give us a pause and come back a little bit later on, because I'm going to spoil the film as we go. And the reason why we're doing this film is because it's Academy Award season, it's Oscar season. It's time to pull out the Netflix original film that's been nominated. The other one, obviously, is Frankenstein, which we did an episode on when it came out a little bit late in 2025, I guess, but it feels like a long time ago now. And in saying that too, I know we're doing Netflix original films in the order of release, and we're sort of clicking over into 420 odd films in a row. But this episode now, this one right now in your ears, is actually our 500th episode, the 500th episode that we have ever put out. So we go all the way back to 2018 when we started this show, and who would know that 8 years later we would still be putting out episodes. So there you go. This is lucky number 500. I hope you enjoy as we go through this film. So let's get back to Train Dreams. We start the show with our fast flicks, where we do a quick little summary of what the film's all about. So this one, it's about a logger who wanders through life dealing with fear, grief, and loss. And that is super vague for me, but it's hard to talk about this film realistically. You need to see this film to understand it. So let's talk about how this one ended up on Netflix. What's it all about? So on Netflix, their logline is a logger searches for meaning in life, marked by loss and a changing American frontier. You don't just watch it, you breathe it in. RogerEbert.com. So it finishes with a little quote from some critics there. On Netflix, while you're watching, if you pause it, it says, "A logger leads a life of quiet grace as he experiences love and loss during an era of monumental change in early 20th century America." There you go. Very similar. I'm very intrigued. I'm not sure why Netflix do two separate sort of log lines and why they don't just stick with the one. So there we go. All good. Let's keep going. So around the world, the titles. In Croatian, it's called Dream on Rails. In Hungarian, it's called On the Track of Dreams. And in Polish, it's called Dream About Trains. So there you go. So trains, obviously, playing an important part about this progress of early 20th century America, the logging, the building the tracks with the wood from the trees, connecting the world, those types of ideas, which we'll probably talk about a little bit later on. This is based on the 2011 novella by Dennis Johnson of the same name. And the film, it's been compared to the work of Terrence Malick, and the director Bentley has cited Malick as an influence, describing him as one of the greatest filmmakers to have ever lived. He said he changed the language of cinema, he created a new form, like one of those rare filmmakers that turn the medium in a new direction. There's not many of them. He went on to say, "So yeah, I'm a big fan, trying to do my own thing, but if I'm mentioned in the same sentence as him, I'm very honored." Bentley has also cited Andrea Rublev, Princess Mononoke, It's Such a Beautiful Day, and Days of Heaven as films that influenced his adaptation of the novella. Bentley also cited Jules Tim and Witu Mama Tambien as key influences on the film, using that third-person narration that we see throughout this film. The narration, if you listen to any of our 500 shows, sometimes I'm not a big fan of narration and think sometimes it's used lazily, but the narration in this film is so important and impactful. We go to February of 2024, where the film was first reported, with principal photography beginning in Washington in America, the state of Washington, in April of 2024, with filming locations including Toccoa, Snoqualmie, Spokane, Medellin Falls, and Colville. The production was approved for support from the Production Incentive Program of Washington Filmworks. Although Bentley and cinematographer Adolfo Veloso considered shooting on film, the production's 29-day schedule made it impractical. As a result, they shot it digitally. Bentley has said that only a small limited number of trees, real-life trees, were felled during production, with scenes depicting characters cutting into trees performed using an artificial prop constructed from wood and fiberglass, with visual effects applied to extend the trunk and canopy to resemble a full-size tree. There you go. They didn't want to make too big an impact on the environment. The voiceover I mentioned before, Will Patton provides the voiceover for the film, and a little connection there is that he's also previously narrated the audio book version of the novella, so a nice little connection there. The song at the end, Nick Cave, a good Australian connection here. But the song at the end by Nick Cave called Train Dreams, which was recorded for the film, was not actually shown in the original version at the Sundance Festival. It was added in subsequent releases. There we go. Netflix paid up to $20 million for the film out of Sundance, so quite a bit of money. And as I said, so it premiered at Sundance on the 26th of January 2025. It played a variety of festivals throughout the year before a limited theatrical release from Netflix on the 7th of November 2025 and hitting Netflix worldwide on the 21st of November 2025. The awards so far, and this is still to play out a little bit more over the coming weeks, but so far it has 24 wins and a further 166 nominations across a variety of awards. The biggest, you've got to say, are the 4 at the Academy Awards. It is nominated for Cinematography, Best Song for Nick Cave, Best Motion Picture, and Best Adapted Screenplay. So there we go. Some big awards there. I would say that it's going to struggle to win any of those those awards, and possibly we'll put out an Oscars preview show in the coming weeks too. The critics, their consensus. What are they saying about the film? If we go to Rotten Tomatoes, it sits at 95% on 230 reviews. That is certified fresh. Very positive there. The audience too sits at 90%. It's only on 50 ratings, but it is verified, and that is a very high score too. On IMDb, it sits at a 7.5 out of 10 on 72,000 ratings. High end again. Same with Letterboxd. 444,500 loggings or ratings. Sits at a 4.1 out of 5. Super high. 497,000 people have logged it. So lots of eyeballs on this film. And finally, Metacritic on their traffic light system of red, yellow, and green. The critics have it at 88 out of 100 on 43 critic reviews. That is certified for Metacritic, which you don't see very often. So that's green. And the audience at 7.7 out of 10 on 211 reviews. Again, green. So super positive for this film. Now, you want to hear my early thoughts? What are my early thoughts on this film? Did I like it? What's going on? Here we go. So I think this is one of those special movies. There's not a lot that happens, but it all feels so real. It feels like you're on a journey with one man, and again, I'll use that word, journey through life. His journey through life. It's so well put together. It's so well performed, and it makes you feel aware of the world that you're in. So this is a special film. Let's talk about the characters. There's not an awful lot to say. Our main protagonist is Robert. The film follows him throughout his life, and he's a man who didn't know his parents, and he's had to make his life his own way. He's a gentle soul who moves through life pondering questions if there's bigger things, if logging's a poor profession, but he holds this deep love for his wife and child, and apart from his family being his purpose in life, he fears death, and he doesn't really have any direction or purpose. And that's where we talk about his family. Gladys is his wife, and they have a chance encounter almost, and they form a loving family. But Gladys holds her own because she has to spend months alone with a child without Robert, and she upholds their property. She makes equipment to fish. She can use a gun, which I think is a key part of this film, is that Robert can't, and she loves her family too. So a very strong female character to stand opposite Robert, who has to go off to earns keep for the family. Some other characters in the film, Claire's a character who arrives late in the film, and this is a person that Robert can confide in, and I've sort of said, pause and come back later, I'm going to get into full spoiler territory here. So when talking about Claire, she works in nature and doesn't reject Robert's grief or question it or his feelings or his stories, and she allows him the space to talk about what he's experienced in life while connecting it all to the great wonder of nature almost too. Robert meets a lot of men along the way as he logs, but Arn is probably the one that he connects with the most. He's this old timer who is good with explosives, but because of his age stays away from hard work, and he has many stories to tell, and this connection that Robert has when he's away from his family, and Arn is almost the first person that Robert loses that he acknowledges is close to him, so a very sad thing too. And Ignatius Jack, I'll just say, he's this confide for Robert in his darkest times as well. The director, Clint Bentley, he's directed a few shorts, a feature film called Jockey, which I believe is pretty good, and best probably known for writing the screenplay for last year's award season film called Sing Sing as well. So there we go. Let's talk about some scenes. What worked, what didn't work. It all works. This film works. The way that nature was shot was mesmerizing throughout the film, especially in the opening. It just set the scene really well. And obviously that's the aspect ratio they use in this film highlights that as well. Robert and Gladys, they're planning their life together by using rocks to set out the rooms in their home. I thought that was really sweet. I really liked the coming back to Robert asking Gladys to say his name because he loves it when she says it, loves the way that she says it. It's just a sweet moment between the two. There's a Chinese worker who is thrown off a bridge on the worksite. That really threw me. I wasn't expecting that, and that plays a big part in Robert's regret and fear of death, in believing that maybe he didn't do all that he could have done. So that was well done. The scenes of awe Robert has with his daughter, just the love he has for her, and questioning the idea if she will know that he is her daddy, the way that she's a different person every time he returns home from work to see her, and feeling like he's missing her his whole life. Just that those sad things in life sometimes. There's this moment on the worksite, one guy I think he was called Apostle Frank, and he just goes on this rant, this religious rant. It just made me laugh, and how long it went on, and how brief his time on screen was, because that was it. There's a tree branch that falls on Arn that sort of leads to his end. That shocked me. I really liked Ignatius coming and being with Robert during his grief. I thought there was some tender moments there. And the scene of Robert's daughter, Katie, coming back injured towards the end of the film, this slight glimpse of hope that's just taken away. It's heartbreaking. And I guess I haven't really spoiled too much yet, so that's good. But let's talk about some themes, some ideas in this film. This is going to be a bit of a rambling mess. It's going to be unconnected. It's just me chucking out thoughts, I think, because obviously this film is about loss and grief and isolation, but that ties in with the devastation of natural disasters like fires and nature and wolves and taking down trees, and the impact on the environment alongside progression, and the idea of killing all the trees to make bridges, which are then replaced by concrete bridges not too long later, and fate and guilt for not standing in or stepping up when you see wrongs like racism that I mentioned before, and the idea of bad things following us in life, that constant fear. Hope is what gives life meaning and purpose, and without hope, Robert wouldn't have progressed so long in this film. The connection of the world and trains and tracks and the beautifulness of nature and that idea, or that symbol of boots on a tree, that identifying nature of a fallen logger, that's so impactful. But the changes and view of the world that can come with age and seeing things in different lights from when you're younger, such as a pair of boots on a tree, to when you see them when you're older. And fire and water are very symbolic in this. There's moments where Robert's cleansing himself in the water or washing himself, but the idea of what both of these can take and give, and it can cleanse, it can burn, it can regrow, it can destroy. These are all powerful elements of nature, and there is good in being different. That is okay too. There's a little bit of a mess, but they're those big things from this film. What else did I take away? I think I have to mention this here. I was desperate to get MJ, one of the co-hosts on this show, on here to do this episode, but we just couldn't get our schedules to align. And because he went and saw this at the cinema, and I'm sort of telling his story here, but I know he went and saw it at the cinema, and he had no idea it was a Netflix film until the logo appeared on the screen, and I believe he loved it, and he watched it again when it arrived on Netflix. So a shout out to him, because this could have been a great conversation on this show. I would have loved to have heard his thoughts too. Sometimes IMDb, we have moments where we go, cool, I recognize someone, I don't know who they are, I'm going to jump on IMDb to check them out. I didn't need to look this one up. William H. Macy, when he came on screen, I wrote in my notes, I was like, Macy? Like, I had to double take almost, because he was so unrecognizable in the role, but he was super impactful in the limited screen time that he had. So good moments from him. Some questions, some pondering, some thoughts, some ideas. I had to question when Gladys and Robert, there's one night where they go out into the woods with a gun to hunt, and again to show that Robert doesn't use guns, but they had a child. Who was looking after the child? No one. They just left the kid in the hut by themselves. I thought that freaked me out a bit as a parent. But I also, the other thing, connection, and how important connection is, not only with people but with nature. And that's a pondering and a thought. But I'm ready to wrap this one up. I hope you've enjoyed this. We give the film a rating out of 5 stars on this show. So for me, I think we're talking award season. That's the reason why I'm doing this as a bonus episode. And another film nominated for Best Picture is Hamnet. And that too is about the grief and loss of a child. And I think I like this film a lot more than that. This plays so much better because, yes, the similarities are the loss of a child, the mesmerizing cinematography of Hamnet from Chloe Zhao. They're similar, but for me, the characters in this are so much more realistic and relatable. So for me, I'm giving this 4 out of 5. This is a really good film. You've got to be in the right mood to watch it. Yes, it's a bit slow, but that is the point of this film. It's drawn out, and it's just a great story. That's what it is. It's a story of a man. So yeah, get on board, give it a watch. We're on socials. We have Facebook, we have X, formerly known as Twitter, as well as Instagram. Give us a follow, give us a like. The question I wanted to ask for this episode was, do you own a chainsaw? It's a very random question if you haven't seen the film, but this is almost a turning point in Robert's life where the invention of the chainsaw is there, and it's like the job's got past him. They no longer have to saw by hand, and I don't know, I just wanted chainsaws. Like for me, I was always like, I'm never going to use a chainsaw. How dangerous. And the last few years I've had to get one just to keep on top of some trees and stuff. So yeah, chainsaws, they're interesting, they're dangerous, but do you have one? Do you like using it? Because once I'm out there with the chainsaw, I don't actually mind. I like working out how to use it and take down what I need to take down. I'm not taking down anything near as big as what Robert does in this film, just some small little shoots that come through the ground. Other than that, as I mentioned at the start, we've got about 500 episodes that cover Netflix original films. So have a look through our back catalogue, give us a follow, give us a like on socials, listen to some episodes. Thank you for joining me, and hang around over the next few weeks because I think we're going to pop out a few extra episodes in the lead up to one of my favourite times of the year, the Academy Awards, and that is why we're here together today. I will see you soon.